This is Bert, and we encourage everyone to read the Bible. A number of years ago, we had a leadership class at NACC, and we learned that reading the Bible is a basic discipline of the Christian life. But the Bible can be a neglected book. People with more training and the ability to read ancient languages can probably get more out of a passage than I can. But that's not a good excuse for not reading the Bible. We don't need an advanced degree or a bunch of commentaries to learn from the Bible. And with COVID-19, I should have more time to read the Bible. I'm working at home, but I've been reading the Bible less. Perhaps you're in a similar situation. This year I'm focused on the Gospels. So a few days ago, I opened up the Bible, and half the Bible, or over half, is the Old Testament. So I happened to open into the Old Testament, and specifically 2 Kings 22. And here's 22, verse 1. Josiah was 8 years old when he became king. He reigned 31 years in Jerusalem. So the king's an 8-year-old. This is going to be a good story. Now I've got 2 kids, turned out fine, but I wouldn't want either of them to be king when they're 8 years old. So how does an 8-year-old become king? I went back to the previous chapter. Here's 1 through 6. Manasseh was 12 years old when he became king. He reigned 55 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Hephzibah. He did evil in the sight of the Lord, according to the abominations of the nations whom the Lord had cast out before the children of Israel. For he rebuilt the high places which Hezekiah his father had destroyed. He raised up altars for Baal and made a wooden image, as Ahab, king of Israel, had done. He worshipped all the host of heaven and served them. He also built altars in the house of the Lord, of which the Lord had said, "In Jerusalem I will put my name." And he built altars for all the hosts of heaven in the 2 courts of the house of the Lord. Also he made his sons pass through the fire, practiced soothsaying, used witchcraft, and consulted spiritualists and mediums. He did much evil in the sight of the Lord to provoke him to anger. So Manasseh was bad. He reigned 55 years, even did child sacrifices on his own son. Let's look at his kid, Amon. Same chapter, verse 19. Amon was 22 years old when he became king. He reigned 2 years in Jerusalem. He did evil in the sight of the Lord, as his father Manasseh had done. So he walked in all the ways his father had walked, and he served the idols that his father had served and worshipped them. He forsook the Lord of his fathers and did not walk in the way of the Lord. Then the servants of Amon conspired against him and killed the king in his own house. But the people of the land executed all those who conspired against King Amon. Then the people of the land made his son Josiah king in his place. So now we know how an 8-year-old became king. His dad got killed. People who killed him, they got killed. So let's do the math. Josiah's dad is killed when he's 24. Josiah's 8 years old. So Josiah was born to a 16-year-old dad. So now we get to Josiah himself, and we already read he was 8 years old. He reigned 31 years. So there's 2 verses that cover those 18 years, more than half of his reign. And it said he did what was right in the sight of the Lord. But the big event in Josiah's reign was the 18th year, and they discover the book of the law. So here's 10 and 11. Then Shaphan the priest showed the king, saying, "Hilkiah the priest has given me a book." And Shaphan read it before the king. Now it happened, when the king heard the words of the book of the law, he tore his clothes. So now we get into chapter 23, which is the reign of Josiah. I'm not going to read it, but Josiah is basically like a wrecking crew. And if I knew the history and geography of Israel, I'd get more out of this. But he's just wrecking things. Verse 12 talks about he broke down, pulverized, threw the dust into the brook. You look at verses 20 through 23. He executed all the priests of the high places who were there on the altars and burned men's bones on them. And he returned to Jerusalem. Then the king commanded all the people, saying, "Keep the Passover of the Lord your God, as it is written in this book of the covenant." Such a Passover surely had never been held since the days of the judges who judged Israel, nor in all the days of the kings of Israel and the kings of Judah. But in the 18th year of King Josiah, this Passover was held before the Lord in Jerusalem. So Josiah accomplished all of this in just 1 year. He didn't have a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan. He just got it done. So what are the takeaways? First of all, the Bible's got great stories. Read it. In the leadership class, we learned everything rises and falls on leadership. Judah had almost 60 years of poor leaders. It was changed when an 8-year-old became king. Josiah had a poor example from his grandfather and father, yet he did what was right. So read the Bible. It's full of great stories and things to apply to your life. Have a good day.